Bristol Community College, Mathematics with Dan Avedikian, Math 132, Calculus with Applications, Section 12.2, Problem 8.
1.
This is Section 12.2. It's problem number 8. It says f of x equals 2x minus 9 times x squared plus 5x plus 2 times 4x to the third plus 3x squared minus x plus 10. What is f prime of x? And what is f prime of x when x is 2? So, for part A, let's start with f of x equals 2x minus 9 times x squared plus 5x plus 2 times 4x to the third plus 3x squared minus x plus 10. So this problem is a product, and it's a big product. It's a 3-part product. Some of the previous problems were 2-part products. So you have a couple of options. You could FOIL all of it out, not need any type of product rule at all. You could FOIL out the first pair of parentheses and still do the answer you get times the last pair of the last set of parentheses, and you'd only have a 2-part product, and that would work. But the way to approach a problem like this, I think the most efficient way, is the first part of the product, call it a u, the next part is a v, and the last part is a w. And you can expand that product rule to as many parts as you need to. F prime of x equals u prime times v times w plus u times v prime times w plus u times v times w prime. So that's what you have is the 3 parts, uvw, 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 3 parts, 3 times you write it. But one time you do the prime of the first part, the next time the prime on the middle part, the next time the prime on the last part. Once you see the pattern, you can expand this process to as many parts as you need. Say you had 5 parts, you'd write it down 5 times, and then the first chunk you'd do the prime on the first piece, the second chunk on the second piece is the prime, the third chunk you do the prime on the third piece. If there were a 4th chunk, you'd do the prime for the 4th piece, 5th chunk, the prime for the 5th piece. So you can expand it for as many parts as you need. This one has 3 parts, so what I have written u prime vw plus uv prime w plus uvw prime will do the answer for the 3-part function that we have. So let's actually start doing it. F prime of x equals. So first we have u prime. So u is 2x minus 9, the first piece of the product. U prime is the derivative of that, which is just 2. The 2x has a derivative of just 2. Again, I have an x to the first power, and the derivative is just the number in front of the x. And then the minus 9, since it has no x, its derivative is 0. So it just goes away. So the u prime is just 2. Then I have v with no prime. So v is the middle parenthesis, so I just copy it down the way it is, no prime. So it's going to be x squared plus 5x plus 2. That's v. And then w, also with no prime. So w with no prime is 4x to the third plus 3x squared minus x plus 10. So what I have written now is just that first piece, u prime vw. Now I have plus. I'm at this plus right here, so I put plus. Now the next piece, I start with u, no prime, just u, so that's 2x minus 9, just u. Then v prime, so v is the middle piece, v prime is a derivative of the middle piece. The middle piece is x squared plus 5x plus 2. The x squared gives me a derivative of 2x to the first. Again, the exponent comes down times the number in front. The exponent is 2. There's no number written in front, but it's understood to be 1. So 2 times 1 is 2. X to 1 less power is first power. The 5x gives me a derivative of 5. Again, I'm taking the derivative of something with an x to the first power. The derivative is just the number in front of the x, just the 5. The plus 2 on the end, it has no x with it, so its derivative is 0. So 2x plus 5 plus 0 can certainly be written just 2x plus 5. So now the last thing I have to do is w with no prime for this middle piece. So w with no prime is 4x cubed plus 3x squared minus x plus 10. So I will just write that in. 4x cubed plus 3x squared minus x plus 10. So that takes me up to here. That was the w that I just wrote. So now I do plus. And then u with no prime for my last chunk. U with no prime is 2x minus 9. Then v with no prime. V with no prime is the middle set of parentheses, x squared plus 5x plus 2. And finally, the last piece, w prime. W is the last set of parentheses, the 4x cubed plus 3x squared minus x plus 10. I'm going to take the derivative of that. The 4x cubed, the derivative is 12x squared. And again, where that comes from, the derivative, the exponent, comes down times the number in front. The exponent is 3. It comes down times the number in front, which is 4. 3 times 4 is 12. X to one less power, so it was a third power. It comes down to a second power. Now the next piece of my w parentheses here is 3x squared. Its derivative is 6x to the first power. So again, where that comes from, the exponent of 2 comes down times the number in front of 3. 2 times 3, there's my 6. X to one less power, the second power drops down to a first power. The next piece of my w parentheses is minus x. So its derivative is minus 1. Again, when I do the derivative of an x to the first power, the derivative is just the number in front of the x. There's no number written in front of minus x. It's understood to be minus 1x. So its derivative is minus 1. And the last piece of the w parentheses, the 10, it has no x, so its derivative is 0. So I can just let that drop off. Technically, it's 12x squared plus 6x minus 1 plus 0. Not writing the plus 0 doesn't change anything. So this is the answer to part A. What's f prime of x? F prime of x is this big, long answer I have here, which can certainly be simplified. It's a lot of work to simplify it, and there's no real gain, in my opinion, because what this would ever be used for is to evaluate it at different values of x. Well, I can plug in any value of x right now without any simplification and find an answer without too much hassle. In fact, that's part B. Part B says put in a 2 everywhere you have an x for your answer for part A. So let's start B and work it down and simplify it. B is, what is f prime of x when x is 2? So f prime of 2 is going to be, what we will do is everywhere where we see an x in the answer for part A, we will put in a 2 for x and do the math and see what we get. The first piece is easy. It's just 2. It has no x. But now, this next parenthesis, x squared plus 5x plus 2, let's simplify that. X squared becomes 2 squared, which is 4. 5x is 5 times 2, which is 10. So I have 4 plus 10 plus 2. So 4 plus 10 is 14, plus 2 more is 16. And then it's going to be times this last set of parentheses. So it's 4x cubed. So x cubed becomes 2 cubed. 2 cubed is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. 8 times the 4 in front will be 32. Let me just write it underneath a little bit. This 3x squared becomes 3 times 2 squared, or 3 times 4. 3 times 4 is 12. Then minus x becomes minus 2. And then I have plus 10. And now if I do out this math, 32 plus 12 is 44. 44 minus 2 is 42. 42 plus 10 is 52. So the first u prime VW of my answer comes out to 2 times 16 times 52, which I'll simplify in a minute. So let's get to the middle piece of my answer, the u times v prime times w, which is the middle piece here. So 2x minus 9 becomes 2 times 2 minus 9. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus 9 is negative 5. And then the middle piece here, 2x plus 5 becomes 2 times 2 plus 5. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 plus 5 is 9. And finally, this big piece at the end, 4x cubed plus 3x squared minus x plus 10. What does that come out to when I put in a 2? Well, last time I put in a 2, it came out to 52. So there's no need to do the work again. If it came out to 52 a minute ago, it's going to come out to 52 again. You can do it if you like, but I'll just rely on my previous work and say that it is 52. And now that brings me to the last UVW chunk here, U times V times W prime. So I'm at this plus sign and my minus sign, the one that separates the last chunk of UVW. So the 2x minus 9, again, I'm going to put in a 2 for x, becomes 2 times 2 minus 9, or 4 minus 9. 4 minus 9 is negative 5. And the next piece of parentheses, x squared plus 5x plus 2. So again, I'm going to put in a 2 for x. The x squared becomes 2 squared, or 4. The 5 times x becomes 5 times 2, which is 10. And the 2 on the end will just stay on the end. So 4 plus 10 is 14. 14 and 2 is 16. And finally, one more to figure out. The last set of parentheses, now because of the prime it had on it in the formula, is not going to be the 52 again that it was the first 2 times we did it. It is going to be a little different. So let me actually go and compute it now. The last set of parentheses, I have to do 12x squared plus 6x minus 1 and evaluate that when x is 2. So the 12x squared becomes 12 times 2 squared. 2 squared is 4 times the 12 in front. 12 times 4, that will be a 48. Then 6 times x becomes 6 times 2. 6 times 2 is 12. Then there's minus 1 on the end. So I'm going to have 48 plus 12 is 60. 60 minus 1 is 59. So I have to continue to do some work. 2 times 16 times 52 plus negative 5 times 9 times 52 plus negative 5 times 16 times 59. This is the point of the problem where we start using the calculator. So the first one, 2 times 16 times 52, if I multiply 2 times 16 times 52, I get 1,664. And the next part of it's going to be negative because I have plus a negative 5 times 9 times 52. So negative 5 times 9 times 52 comes out to 2,340, and I'm going to subtract that, 2,340. And the next one will also be a subtraction because I have a negative here. 5 times 16 times 59. So 5 times 16 times 59 is 4,720. And now, to finish with the calculator, I will do 1,664 minus 2,340 minus 4,720 gives me a final answer of negative 5,396. So f prime of x when x is 2 is equal to negative 5,396.